Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of the Cocos Keeling Islands in Australia. I say in Australia, they're islands, so they're not in Australia. And they're actually very, very far from Australia. Way over in the Indian Ocean, kind of near Christmas Island, which we talked about a few weeks ago. They are not near the main Australian continent at all, but they're part of Australia. And if you're wondering why that is, just stay tuned and you'll find out. My main question has always been, what's up with this name? Why Cocos Keeling with Keeling in parentheses? Like what? But we'll find out in its history. But first, let's talk about the geography. There are two sets of island groups. There's North Keeling Island and the South Keeling Islands. They're about 15 miles apart-ish. North Keeling is just the one main island, which the entirety of it is the Keeling Island National Park, which is Australia's smallest national park. It's not inhabited or anything. The South Keeling Islands, though, it is a coral atoll made up of 26 islands. The ones that are inhabited are West Island and Home Island, which you can see Bantam Village right there. That's where the Indigenous population lives. We'll talk a bit about that too. What exactly constitutes an Indigenous population here. But there are many areas of national park around on the South Islands here. And lots of copra or coconut plantations, which is what this island's economy is pretty much entirely based upon, because tourism is really not a thing here. They limit how many tourists can be on the islands at one time. I think it's about 150 tourists at once. So there's no resorts. There's good snorkeling, but it's not like the Great Barrier Reef where there's snorkelers everywhere, right? It's very sparse when it comes to tourists. Kind of talk about why that is. Well, I guess we'll just do it now. The islands are very small and there's not a lot of space, so they don't want it crowded with tourists. Not to mention it's kind of hard to get to. You have to fly to Christmas Island to get there, I believe. But let's talk about the history here. The Cocos Keeling Islands. Let's figure out why is the Cocos Keeling Islands. These islands were uninhabited for almost the entirety of human history. They were first sighted in 1609 by William Keeling, British captain. That's the name, the Keeling Islands. Then in 1824, a man named John Clunies Ross realized that this area would be pretty good for growing coconut palms, which, produce coconuts. And also you make copra from the fibers of the tree. Good for, I believe it's for like ropes and maybe baskets, things that you weave with. I believe. I could be wrong. So he said, you know what? I'm going to come back with my family. I've got to get some people who want to work here. And I'm going to make this happen. And he sailed off back to England to get his family and to find employees. In 1826, though, a man named Alexander Hare just went like absolutely rogue. There's no other way to describe it. He decided he wanted to drop out of civilization. And he moved here, but he brought with him 40 Malay women. I only saw one source that said they came willingly. I'm pretty sure they did not come willingly. And you can kind of guess what one man would want to do with 40 women alone on an island. You can guess. This is YouTube. We don't want to get into it, but I mean, we kind of know what he was up to. Big yikes, right? No one thought that it was bigger yikes than John Clooney's Ross, who came back in 1827 with his family and a bunch of employees that he got from all around the Indian Ocean coast, from Africa, many islands up here, India, so on and so forth, but many Malays as well. And he went, whoa, oh, what? Like, these are my islands. I staked these out 3 years ago. What are you doing? What? And it was a bit of a lot of tension. But what eventually broke the ice is that many of the women that Alexander Herod brought hopped over to this area. Or maybe the other way. I think maybe it was this way. To be with the Clooney's Ross men, so to say. And eventually Alexander Herod gave up and left, which allowed the Clooney's Ross family to pretty much have total control over the islands and create their plantation. In 1836, Charles Darwin sailed up in the Beagle. And it was here that he came up with his theory for how coral atolls form. And I know I say it every time I talk about coral atolls, but if you think of a mountain sticking out of the sea with coral growing all around the mountain, eventually, especially if it's a volcano, that mountain starts to erode, and all of the coral is all that's left, a big ring of coral all around. So it was here that he realized that's how atolls form. In 1857, the Cocos Keeling Islands officially became a British possession. Now, I think that I didn't exactly see why it's named this, but I have a theory based on my research. I think the Clooney's Ross family called it the Cocos because of the coconuts. But it was also politically known as the Keeling Islands because they were on all of the old maps. So they came up with a compromise to call it both instead of one or the other or some combination. Just call them both, or the Cocos Keeling Islands. In 1877, the British government attached the islands to Ceylon, which is now called Sri Lanka. And in 1886, they made it part of the Straits Settlements, which is pretty much mostly just Singapore and Christmas Island, too, like we mentioned a few weeks ago. But it was in that year that Queen Victoria allowed the Clooney's Ross family to own the islands in perpetuity, meaning that it's their personal property to do with as they wish. And it was a very thriving plantation. They did build, though, here on Direction Island, can you see Direction Island, a communication station to communicate with the various British-controlled areas around the Indian Ocean, India, Singapore, Australia, so on and so forth, Christmas Island, which made it very important in both world wars. In World War I, a German ship attacked Direction Island. The British attacked back and the ship crashed and sank on the shores here. And in World War II, the islands were occupied by the Allies. The Japanese actually never got to take over these islands. And in 1994, they built the airstrip here. Very important little stopover area for the Allies in the Indian Ocean. In 1955, it became a territory of Australia, kind of in the way that Puerto Rico is part of the United States today. But in 1984, a referendum was held, and the conclusion was that the islands would become fully part of Australia. So not Puerto Rico, but Hawaii, to put it in comparison, fully integrated into the country of Australia, the Commonwealth of Australia. In 1993, the Clooney's Ross family sold Home Island to the Australian government, so they no longer hold any claim over the islands, but they still live there. They've been living there since the 1820s, so there's no reason to stop now, but all of it is controlled by Australia now. Nothing's privately owned except like people's homes, but anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. One of the main issues now, like I mentioned, is the concept of Indigenous rights. So, nobody lived here until 1826, right? No humans at all. The ancestors of the 40 women that Alexander Hare brought over and the various employees that the Clooney's Rosses brought over all combined to create a new culture, and they're known as the Cocos Malays, or Cocos Malays. They are Muslim, they have their own dialect and ways of life, but they are trying to petition the Australian government to be recognized as Indigenous Australians, which is kind of iffy because there's like a set criteria to be Indigenous Australians, either Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders. Those people have lived in that area for tens of thousands of years. They have many different languages that are spoken across Australia, many different cultures. They have their art, style, music, ceremonies, festivals, things like that these people do not have. It's very different over here. So I suppose they are the indigenous population, I guess. It's just that it is a little strange to have an indigenous population that's only existed since the mid 1800s, as opposed to an indigenous population in Australia that's existed for as long as humanity has, right? We don't even know. Tens of thousands of years. So good luck to the Cocos Malays. Try to get indigenous status. I'm sure there's a lot of government perks that come along with that, just like here in the United States, a lot of perks that come with being Native American. But that is where we leave off in current day in the history of the Cocos Keeling Islands. Now, there's not a lot to show you on Google Earth. Like I said, this isn't a tourist place to visit, so there's not a lot of photos, but we do absolutely have to check it out. So let me hit the lights and grab my tablet, and we will explore the Cocos Keeling Islands on Google Earth. Let's go. Here we are in the Cocos Keeling Islands. Where'd my pencil go? Right here. Okay. But let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. They are a very difficult place to locate. Over here's Christmas Island, we looked at a few weeks ago. So you can see that we are here in the Indian Ocean. You can see Indonesia's over here. You can see Java and Sumatra over there. We've got India and Sri Lanka up there, the Bay of Bengal. Australia is way over here. I read that the Cocos Keelings are closer to Singapore than Australia, and I couldn't believe that, but looking at this, yeah, definitely. Definitely, isn't it? Yeah, they are kind of tricky to find on a map, but just have to know where to look. The Cocos Keeling Islands. So here is the North Island. Pulu Keeling National Park. It's, of course, gorgeous because we're here in the Indian Ocean. There's I don't know, there's a standard when you think of Caribbean islands and Indian Ocean islands. It's very close, but it's a different kind of luxurious, I think. In terms of the water, that's just weird AI art. Let's skip that. The quality of the ocean water, the weather, the local customs, things like that. It's a whole different vibe, but in a great way. So here are the South Keeling Islands. Let's start over here on West Island, which is more of the industrial things. You can see there's the yacht club. Here's the airport, which is the world's only airport that is also a golf course. when I think there's only one flight a week. Here's the spot. This is the spot. Yeah, so when no one's using it, they play golf on it, which I mean, the spot. Dangerous marine life. And this place doesn't sound like a great spot. It sounds a little dangerous, but they got lots of surfboards and grilling. And that person. Lots of random photos in these slideshows. And they're ready to have a good time, aren't they? Here's the Wild Coconut Discovery Center, where it looks like you can tap coconuts yourself and get some Raising Canes. They got Raising Canes in the Cocos Keeling Islands. No way. That's wild. Oh, look at the baby ducks. So cute. Oh my gosh, that's cute. There's also, actually, did I put the everything? Yeah. Where is it? Here it is. This art museum is on a boat. Look at that. Can we go in it? Beware of coconuts falling. Thank you. Oh, there's some handicrafts. Looks like they're probably for sale. Playing some petanque, I guess. I'm not sure. And lots of little jewelry there for sale as well. But yeah, it's a little art display museum in a boat. There's the West End Old Jet. Let's see if there's pictures here. Oh, there are. And it's gorgeous, of course. How beautiful. Yeah, it's a lovely little place, isn't it? Go around here. Now, there's not a lot of photos anywhere else because, like, as you can see here, it's pretty much just wilderness. These don't have any pictures. You can see all the coconut trees there. And then especially if we go over here, you can see rows upon rows of them. The little dots almost looks textured, like you could like pet it. That's Direction Island. Then we head down here to Home Island, which you can see is much more built up with lots of roads. And here is the main town, or the population of the Cocos Malays life. Here's the museum. There's all the different Clooney's Ross. That's John George, John Sidney, and John Cecil. All the Clooney's Rosses. They got some cool shadow puppets there on display. Okay. Some big canoes there. Yeah, lots of chickens. Lots of photos and such. That looks like the German shipwreck there. All about the history of the Cocos Keeling Islands. They got lots of chickens running around. Lots of old doodads too. Some neat rocks, I think. Very old inscription proclamation. And I can't read that because that's very old. You can see it says Queen down there. So Queen Victoria. So yeah, this must be the official proclamation. I have VR. That's Victoria. That these islands belong to the Clooney's Ross. Plants of the Coral Islands. And the shadow puppets. Yeah, there's not much to see here because it's just a little town. And then if we go down here, you can see the rest of the atoll islands, which do not have people living on them. It is all trees. Does this beach have a slideshow? I think it does. Does it? I was thinking real hard about it. Oh, it does. It does have a couple pictures. Oh gosh, beautiful sunset. Climbing the trees there. Nice little spots to sit and enjoy these beautiful waves. Wow, what a red sunset. It looks like a big sunrise there. Gorgeous. Look at these stripes of green from the trees, white from the beach, blue from the waves washing up, and then a darker blue from all of the coral down there. and rocks and creatures and things. How beautiful. Wow. It's a very pretty, pretty place, isn't it? It's pretty much all I got for you. You know what's interesting, though? I was trying to find little things to show you, and I hit the street view, and it shows the boat paths as streets. How interesting is that? All of the different ways that the boats go are part of the streets. Let's see. Someone went and took pictures all the way down. You can see the boat going there, chugging away. Looks like there's signposts out there telling you where to go in these little sea routes. You can see the islands out there in the distance here in the lagoon. Pretty neat, I think, that those are considered roads. But that's pretty much all that I've got for you. There's not many other slideshows to see. If you find any other good ones, let me know, because I'd like to see more. It's just that there aren't really any other pictures. But that is where I'll leave you for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. That boat's been there for a while, looks like. Next in the series, we're heading over to Portugal, where we're going to see a very beautiful old town and more coast, more coastline. There's a lot of coastline this week. It's a good theme to have, I think. Also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments, even if you just want to say hi. It's a free and easy way to support my channel. And if you can, please hype this video. I would appreciate that. Thank you. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night. A good night. A good night.